know the problem with direction? I need to decide something. That's the funny thing about ignorance, isn't it? Ignorance means that there is no choice because I don't know what the options are. But the moment we begin to establish parameters, the moment we begin to look at the pros and cons, or we decide what we feel is right and what we feel is wrong, well, that's the moment that I'm now confronted by a choice. Now, the problem with choices is that choosing's hard, because choosing demands activity and it demands commitment to a course of action. Damn. Interestingly, a lot of people don't like to make choices. We prefer to allow our choices to be made by others, or to sit on our current situation until a more palatable alternative becomes obvious. Well, Julian Roto was a social psychologist in the 1950s and 60s that was really interested in why people behave in certain ways and what reinforced those behaviours, such that a person did them again and again and again and again. In his most memorable piece of research, which he called a locus of control, he put forward the idea that some people have an external locus of control and others have an internal locus of control. Well, what's the difference between those two things? Well, essentially, a locus of control is an individual's belief system as to the causes of his or her experiences and why they've been successful or otherwise. So, if good things happen to me in my career, was it internal or external factors that brought that about? Now, people with a strong locus of control, a strong internal locus of control, believe that the responsibility for whether or not they get certain outcomes ultimately lies within themselves. In other words, their choices or the decisions that they've made that have contributed to the outcome. Internals believe that success or failure is due to their own efforts. In contrast, externals believe that success or failure in our career is controlled by things like luck or chance or powerful others. There are other variables to be considered. However, psychological research has found that people with more of an internal locus of control seem to be better off. In other words, they tend to be more achievement oriented, they get better paying jobs. So when it comes to careers, we need to be setting, developing and engaging with a direction. We need to make a choice. We need that internal locus of control. This doesn't mean that the next job is the end game, nor does it mean that we need to get what we want quickly, but the idea of setting direction is to move towards something that we want, something that we aspire to, how we aspire to live, and we need to take general steps in that particular direction. So here are 3 reasons why building that sense of really strong direction is critically important. Beginning the process of moving towards something, well, it just simply opens us up to more possibilities, because now we're engaging with more potential influences, and those influences could be skills or people or projects or networks or companies. And stepping towards that destination means that we now understand what we want and we're in charge of the activities that will bring about that outcome. The second thing is to know the criteria for whether something is good or bad for us. I mean, if I don't understand where the best version of me is likely to be displayed, in what company, under what leader, in what sort of culture, what sort of structure, in what sort of team, how do I know if this is a good decision or not? How can I be sure if your job is the right job for me? So write out a list of things that are important to you, and then measure the opportunity against that list or against that criteria. How many times does the organisation fit what it is that you're looking for? What are the things that I might compromise on, and what are the things that are just non-negotiable? The final important reason is that knowing what I want means that I know what to ask you when I'm considering a role with your company or with your business. During the interview process, I can take control over some of the dialogue because I have things to explore that are actually meaningful to me. Essentially, I'm putting you through an interview process as well. Well, I've got to fly, but till next time, make sure your day has a splash of colour and do something today that's going to be good for you. Take care.